love it. I love it. By the way, Yuri Cristofanti said, I had to park the car just to hit the like button for the Big O. Yuri, we love you, bro. You liked us. We love you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Speaking of love, we have love for David Furones. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? Do you have 10, 11, or 12 kids?
Zero. So a good morning for me for sure, as I have 0 kids to take care of.
That man has a starting 11 now. Was that the goal? Is that what he was trying to get to or something? Is that the deal?
Every single time another one would pop up, someone would always joke, all right, we're getting closer to having a whole starting offense. So
he got it.
Maybe so.
He got it done. Damn, dude. Oh, that's a hell of an offseason right there. We're going to get a divorce? No, we're going to have our 11th kid. Let's go.
The man is productive on the field and off the field.
Yep, no, definitely. He definitely can't keep his pecker control. That's for sure. I mean, 5 different women, 11 kids. That's he knows how to score.
Every pun that we can think of.
He can get it across the finish line. That's for sure. Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, he's going to be so broke. It's not even funny how broke Tyreek Hill will be in a few years. Let's just call it like it is. That's a lot of baby mamas. That's a lot of money, and you won't be making that kind of money for the rest of your life. So
how does that work with child support once you have that many children?
Years.
Right, 18 years on each one. But what, like, percentages on each that out of your salary? How does that work?
Dude,
I know.
I've got one wife, one child, one marriage, and I'm 30 years strong, okay? I've been with her 36 and a half years, all right? I don't comprehend with any of that stuff. I don't want to comprehend with any of that stuff. In fact, my child is already grown, graduated, teaching, okay? So we've done our job as parents. I don't know. I don't know that life, bro. I don't want to have a second wife or a third wife. I don't want to have a second child. We planned on not having a second child. Okay, dude, we waited 6.5 years to get married. Then we waited another 6 years to have a child. Wow. Just because we wanted to wait till we were like, making money and we were comfortable, not rich, but we were making money that we could pay our bills. And we said, okay, we can handle a child. And then we said, should we get a second one? We said, nah, because that's double. No, let's do this. Let's provide this one everything she could possibly need or have. Boom, we did that. We were successful. I'm done, bro. I can't comprehend with that kind of stuff. And these women typically want, dude, 10, 12, 30, 25,000 a month for each child because they have to live a certain lifestyle.
That's what really gets me. I mean, how does just having to support a child mean you need that much money? There's so many people making ends meet with so much less. Like,
but they grew into a different lifestyle.
Yeah,
into a rich lifestyle. So you must maintain your lifestyle is their lifestyle. You can't be living in a mansion and then the kid is living in a shack somewhere in some, crap part of town or something. That the judge will not allow something like that because you brought the child into the world and they're not going to be provided the same thing you provide yourself. That's the way they look at it. So by the way, I have no problem with that. Brother,
no, that part of it makes sense. Yeah.
You decided to stick your in there without protection, and you decided to do all of this, and now you're going to have the child. Well, I'm big on responsibility, my brother. That's your responsibility. Te jodes. Sorry, I have zero sympathy for that. That's our problem in this world. We have too many kids that are out there, and they have no mother, no father. And a lot of them, like me, I grew up with just my mom around, and my parents got divorced when I was like 7, dude, and they went through this wicked, ugly, drop down, drag out, divorce that had restraining orders and all. I mean, bro, they put me in the middle of all that shit, and it's just like, yeah. I think that's why I am who I am now, because I went through all that hell, and I said, "There's no fucking way I'm putting my daughter through that hell. No way. I'm not doing that. Not doing that. I'm getting married. I'm gonna have a house. She's gonna go to the same school, same district the entire time. She's gonna have a mother and a father when she gets home. She'll have her support. She'll have money. She'll have food. She'll have a roof. That's your responsibility, dude. You have a kid. That's you. You decided to have a child or 2 or 10. Jódete, bro. Trabaja. Too bad.
Yeah.
By the way, for those of you that don't understand, I said, screw you. Get to
Yeah.
bastard. That's basically what I'm saying in Spanish.
Yeah. That's why I'm like you. I see it the same way you did. That's kind of the plan I would want is have my wife in place first, and then down the road, like make sure both of us were all set financially wise, everything, and then go into that. I mean, I'm horrified of having to take care of a kid on. I mean,
that's everybody,
what
dog.
What I make now is better than what I made when I was starting off as a high school sports reporter. I was horrified then of it, of course. I mean, but even now, still. So I see it the same way you do. And let's also say this upcoming baby for Tyreek Hill is with his wife, Keita Vaccaro Hill. So what's done in the past is done. This one is with his wife. So at least congratulations to them as a couple too.
Yeah, no, congratulations. I just hope he lives up to his responsibilities as a father. You know what I'm saying?
Part of the story to tell.
Yeah, because
everything that has happened to this point.
And in a way, really, I don't think when you have 11 kids with 5 different women, you'll never be able to be the father that you can't. It's important. Because you can't be in 5 places.
Writing yourself out too thin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all the children are not coming home to a father. Sorry, only a couple are coming home. The other 4 homes, there'll be no father. Yeah. So that
they're coming home to the father's paycheck.
Yeah, but I mean that really.
It's different. It's very different.
Yeah, that doesn't carry very far, man. Unfortunately,
there's no price you can put on having both parents present.
All right, so Jonathan Jones came out with a report that Tua has skipped the majority of the voluntary offseason work as a long-term extension with Miami has yet to materialize. What do you know about that?
Well, this is the first time we have these contract talks sort of get into maybe a potentially contentious situation. We've said it on this program. We believe Tua will always have shown. We have always believed that he'll show up to these offseason workouts. He did. He showed up to the beginning, and then we've seen him a little bit throughout. But now Jonathan Jones, CBS Sports, reports that that's not the full picture. He has been absent from a lot of these. Obviously, these are very closed off from media and viewers. And OTAs start this week. The first one is on Monday. First one with media access is on Tuesday. So now that becomes a huge storyline going into the start of OTAs. For those that don't know, offseason workouts are broken up into first the different phases that they go through, just getting acclimated, and then eventually you get into the OTA session, which organized team activities that starts this upcoming week. It'll go for 2 weeks. Then there's mandatory minicamp. Everything is voluntary up until that mandatory minicamp. So a lot of people who are going through contract negotiations, that's where they end up maybe taking some days off. But so we're seeing it with Tua Tagovailoa right now. And we always felt, okay, these contract negotiations will go amicably, and the two sides want to get it done. I think they still do, but I think Tua may be playing a little bit of hardball here, and it'll be a storyline now going into OTAs, how much he misses these voluntary sessions, and if this carries forward.
All right, the thing that I'm trying to find out is this may not be a holdout at all. Sure. These are voluntary, and he is working with a QB coach.
Yes.
And he's also working on body slimming and strengthening his body. And so he could be opting not to go to these voluntary workouts, and they know it, and he's working on with the QB coach and working with the trainer and those kind of things away from it. So it may not be something that he needs, one, because he's been through all these things anyway. And at this point in the season, it's mostly condition. You're not really running 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s on these things. You know that, right? That's not really what they're doing.
The workouts preceding OTA, yeah. Once you get to OTAs, you'll do that stuff. But
yeah, but right now it's kind of conditioning and any kind of therapy that you might need that might be dragged on from the off season or what's it called, classroom stuff and things like that,
and very limited field work. They'll go out onto the field, but
it's like a walk type
routes
of
on air type of stuff. Yeah,
right. It's a walkthrough type of thing. So again, these aren't really things that he necessarily needs. So before I overreact or you overreact or fans overreact, and I try to keep everybody kind of like with the information out there here and not try to play the sensationalistic shit out there. Oh, he's holding out, and not throw out there that, hey, this could be that he has some stuff set up already that they know about during this time, because this is the time to work with your QB coach. This is the time to have to get some other stuff going. So that could be the reason. And then here's the other one that I was thinking of. It might not be a holdout. It might be more of an understanding of, hey, you haven't come to a contract yet for insurance purposes. Let's kind of slow walk this thing and not expose them to too much. Again, you don't really do a lot of workouts. So it's really more about maybe in conditioning or stuff like that, which he doesn't need to do that there. He's going to be doing it somewhere else. So there could be some other things involved in all of this, why he's also missing. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not concerned for Tua as an individual as far as his training in attending these, because we know he's been working with Perform, Nick Hicks, and he's working on slimming down. Last time we saw him, we saw he had lost some weight. So I think it's because he's working on agility and being able to extend plays and being able to be a little more mobile. So I know he's been working on that as far as he himself getting his offseason work that he needs. He definitely has been on top of that. And we know he's been working with John Beck, and we know locally too, he's been working with Gold Feet, which Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle have been at those sessions locally. So we've seen social media video from Tevin Allen. Does a great job with a lot of local high school kids, a lot of college kids, and then even pros down here in Broward County. So we've seen him out there too. So he's getting reps with Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle, and we've even heard from Washington brothers getting the chance to work with him as they, not actual brothers, but the draft picks. So all that stuff is going on. So I'm not necessarily too concerned about his offseason work if he's not attending. But it's just a matter of, okay, now it brings up the question, because we thought it was all going to go smooth, and now we do see Jared Goff, he got his contract extension. Meanwhile, where did the Dolphins stand with Tua? Well, now we just found out these voluntary offseason workouts that we assumed, we all thought, okay, all this would run smoothly. He'd be attending them, and because he's that guy. And Mike McDaniel said he expects him. Now he did answer for OTAs, not necessarily start of offseason workouts. We have to make that distinction. So OTAs, that starts next week. When Mike McDaniel did say he expects Tua, so that part of it can still be very much true, assuming everything goes down as we expect it to, that he shows up start of next week for those organized team activities.
Yeah. To me, I don't think when it's organized, I think he'll be there. And so the problem is with all of this is that if you don't have all the information, it's hard to really assume what's really going on, because this is a part of the season that is very gray. And players have personal issues. Sometimes they have professional commitments that they're already, and they're or personal things. They might be getting married or something. They might be on a honeymoon or whatever. You just, there are different reasons, and there are reasons why sometimes you miss these kind of things. Once it gets to mandatory, then it becomes a little bit more of a clear picture of where it's at. And that's where, see, I still think he'll be there for the mandatory ones.
Oh, yes.
And that's why I kind of think there's more to this than just, oh, no, this is contract, because Greer even told you guys in one of the press conferences that we took a break from the contract negotiations because they understood, hey, it's draft time. We got to focus here. Remember when he said that?
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, that part of the offseason, you're focusing on the draft. Yeah.
Right. And but he also said, like, they understood we had to put a pause on it. Remember when he said that?
Sure.
Okay, so the same guy reported from CBS that now after the draft they resumed their they started contract talks, and I'm like, no, they did not start. They might resume them.
Right, resume would be the right wording.
That's why he had the wrong wording the last time he said this about this, because clearly Greer told us that there were negotiations already going on, and that they knew and you know, understood our position. Hey, we're in the draft. We got to take a pause. Yeah, no problem. We have no problem with that. Boom. So that he already had kind of wrong. I'm wondering here in the same situation, does Jonathan Jones also kind of have that part of, yeah, he's not there, but is it a holdout? Does it really have anything to do with the contract, or is it more about him working on himself in the offseason with some new people?
Yeah. Well, I think what's still significant is that this is less than what he's attended in the past. So at least comparatively, you still have that difference to point out. Like he has worked on himself in the past off seasons, whether it's bulking up last off season, whether it was working on gaining that lower body strength for more arm throwing power. The 2 off seasons ago, which was a big focus with Nick Hicks, his trainer. So, you know, at least comparatively, there is still that aspect to it. But as far as whether there's more to it, then yeah, I mean, that's something, assuming Tua is there, maybe he ends up speaking on Tuesday when we have that first open one to the media and we get all this squared away. And it would be a question to ask him is how much was this sort of planned, or and how much is this because you're already getting the stuff that you need and that you're prioritizing this offseason away from Dolphins facilities, and then now you know, coming back, although and I mean, he's been there, it's not like he's been completely absent, he has been there, it's just a matter of how much. So
that's why this is kind of, you know, he's been there, and then all of a sudden this I you know, that as the late great Mad Dog would say, I put it to my nosy and it don't smell so rosy. It just doesn't. That's why I brought up the other scenarios, and I want people to know, because it's super easy to lean to the sensationalistic stuff and say, "Oh, it must be his contract and he's holding out." And okay, that'll get you clicks, but it might not be that actually, and that's not really his style. So
it's not his style.
Yeah, and plus what Greer said, if they had an understanding of a pause during the negotiations, then that tells me things were all right. They were moving at least, and there's amicable, you know, the sides are amicable at this point, and everything's well. And you know, then all of a sudden I have a problem with that one, you know.
Yeah. I just feel, there's probably just still a little something there, because you do compare it to Jared Goff got his done. We've been talking about the timeline, and we know, like, we look at last offseason when Lamar's finally got taken care of, when Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, it was the night of the opening game, and then the Bengals were like stealing headlines like right before kickoff by getting the Joe Burrow contract done. So, I mean, it could happen. There's such a wide range of when it could happen. But then now maybe there's the added thing. Okay, Jared Goff already got his done, and then now Dolphins and Tua still working through theirs, even though there's still plenty of time, and I'm sure it'll get taken care of. Both sides, I feel, strongly do want to get this done. Now it's just a matter of, okay, now you also have, hey, Jared Goff is worth this $53 million average annual value, and now maybe whatever the Dolphins were, and this is a big maybe, you know, these negotiations are kept tight to the vest. I don't know if that's what Dolphins came up to the negotiating table with, but if their initial offer was less than that, now maybe Tua's feeling insulted. Okay, wait, well, Jared Goff got $53 million, and then you view me as this number. But so now at least we have that. There is that context with another deal getting done this offseason with a quarterback, and just what the real price of doing business with a quarterback is. Which, by the way, Jared Goff, his contract compared to what the salary cap is now, that would only rank number 10 as far as the percentage of salary cap consumed by the per year salary to the quarterback. So that's just, it's going to be going up, and those are just the more realistic numbers based on the salary cap continuing to rise. So everyone who wants to see something under $50 million, it's a new day. That part of it is not happening anymore.
Right, exactly. No, I'm with you. And listen, I think he's going to get 55 plus, actually, when it's all said and done. And then his contract in a couple of years will be a joke, because there'll be guys making 65 and 70. Yeah. It's just, whatever, bro. Yeah. This is too much craziness. People are freaking out about a couple million here or there. Meanwhile, the cap is going to go up 10, 12, 15 million every year. So whatever, bro. Go ahead and lose sleep if you want. The bottom line is the kid's got to ball out. And I think eventually that's really what you want from him. You won't worry so much about what he's getting paid if he goes out there and plays. Let's talk a little OBJ. You what was the press conference was on Wednesday, right?
Yes, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it was day after we talked. And as a guy that is, I've never been an OBJ fan. Respected his talent, but I did not like the way he carried himself. But I will admit, the last couple of years he's been impeccable. He's been a terrific teammate. He hasn't done any of the crap that he did with the Giants and all that kind of stuff. He didn't act like that with the Rams, the Browns, or the Ravens last year. But he's acted like a professional. And I will give you this also, and why I even like this move even more. He has the right attitude. He's not coming in trying to prove that he's still a number one. He knows he's not a number one. He knows he's there to complement the top two guys. He wants to be here too. He likes McDaniel. So I just got like a complete mature vibe and an understanding of what he's stepping into. And to me, that's half the battle. Because if he comes in with the wrong attitude or the wrong expectations for himself or whatever, that can ruin everything. I thought he had the perfect freaking attitude, and it's really a great foundation to succeed here.
Yeah, Big O, you nailed it. That was my takeaway from it, is he understands where he stands in this offense. Obviously, you have to when Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are the 1 and 2, and you're going into a situation to be the number 3. But it's good to just hear it from him that he knows that at this point in his career, hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2016, last 1,000-yard season 2019, has had these injuries. He's come back from that. And he even started talking about, if this season is my last and this and that. So he knows where he stands in his career, and that he feels this situation is just tremendous for him to be a number 3. He was talking about that Mike McDaniel laid out how some third down situations, opponents decided that they would double both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And we know those guys are getting 50% of targets for the Dolphins. So they need that third option, whether we know Jonnu Smith might be it sometimes in the red zone and throughout the field also, but then Odell Beckham Jr. on those third downs. It'll open up a lot of opportunities for him. And he laid out the film session that he had on a visit with the Dolphins with Mike McDaniel that really opened his eyes. I feel like McDaniel, he looks at players throughout the league, and he studies everything just all over the NFL, and that he really just has ideas on how he can improve other players on other teams based on what he sees. And he says, if I had him, I would nail down this teaching point, because I feel like he could take us the game to the next level if he did X, Y, and Z. And I just envision in that meeting that he probably laid out some things that opened Odell Beckham Jr.'s eyes, even at this stage in his career. And you could tell it came through by the way he was talking about Mike McDaniel. And he mentioned Tua, that at first he was a little hesitant about a left-handed throwing quarterback. He didn't know about that, but then he started thinking, hey, he's
but then he does the Odell goofball shit. Oh, wait. Jarvis has been throwing to me since I was in high school, and he's left-handed. And
his trainer, yeah.
And somebody else is left-handed.
So the trainer he works with. Yeah.
Bro, what's wrong with you? The earth is flat again? You know, that these are the moments with Odell.
Yeah, right. Where maybe you felt the perfect answer would have been that he was all in 100%, but then he admitted that he had to get over the left-handed thing. But hey, at least he did. At least he did get over that mental block, whatever it might have been. So
mental block. It was his own mental block because captain from a lefties for years now. So what are you talking about, dude? Like, the hell are you talking about? Just like, by the way, great question. I had no idea by you because I know it was your voice on the QM recruiting thing. I had no, and once again, he listened to stinking Jarvis Landry. Jesus.
Yeah. I went back into the memory bank for that one because when I was in college, during his recruitment, and sort of like middle of college is when I really started to focus on recruiting, and I really started getting into it. And I remember him being one of the top recruits, and reading up on his quotes on whenever a recruiting site would get an interview with him, and like it was kingsport.com, my buddies over there, Gary Furman, Matt Chodell, and then just like seeing, okay, he's 50-50 whether LSU or Miami, whatever he was saying back then, and then ultimately of course goes to LSU. But that was the first time I was seeing his name was on the recruiting sites when he was maybe going to the Canes, and that's the last time you heard of that connection, obviously, because then he goes to LSU and then he goes on to his NFL career. So sort of him coming back to Miami jogged that in my memory, like, man, wait, wasn't he close to going to UM? So
yeah. And by the way, Jarvis not getting invited back by the Jags. I don't know if you know that. Did you know that?
Yeah, I figured as much.
Because our birthday boy from yesterday, Omar, wanted Jarvis over here. Did you know Jarvis was quoted there in Jacksonville when he was there that he was also there to find out if he still wanted to do it himself?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the kind of player I want to give a chance to. If I'm a team trying to win like the Dolphins right now, I don't need a guy that's in the middle of trying to figure out whether he wants to do this still himself after being a year out of football. Like, it's that was like, I'm good with that. Now, the other thing that in the press conference that I still don't believe, and I think 98% of the time he's never going to be there. He never really committed that he was going to be in the slot. And so it's one of those that we're talking about it. He mentions it, but it's not really, he's going to compliment those guys. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be in the slot. And I'm still not convinced that he's going to be a slot guy. I still think he's going to be an outside guy. I think I could see him in the slot in this case. One of the Washington boys, Berrios or Craycraft, one of the four, ends up inside the slot. You take him off the field, and you put OBJ on the slot, and then you put Waddle and Tyreek outside. And that's just, and maybe OBJ comes in motion to get into the slot.
Yeah.
So that way you can get your hands on him and you can loosen him up a little bit more. I can see something like that. He's not really a slot player. So I kind of think they're still kind of got to mess with this. And I still think he's going to be on the outside. So you tell me what you picked up from the press conference, and what do you think the player is still going to be on the Dolphins offense?
Yeah, he's got a majority of his experience on the outside, as he mentioned. So but there's just so many motions in this Mike McDaniel offense that I think you nailed it there, is that you can have him starting off outside and then motioning inside, and then defenders are all in flux, trying to figure out where everyone's going, and that opens things up for him, especially when defenses are focusing in on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Or it could be Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle starting off inside to him on the outside, and then they're going to that motion to the outside that became so big last year. That could then work out into that orbit motion as well. So there's just so many different variations that could be worked in. I mean, I just know Mike McDaniel's head is probably just churning out all these different scenarios of what he can do, and then he just can't wait to go and actually put them on the field in whether it's these OTAs and, whenever you get all of them together, same time, mandatory mini camp and going into training camp on just working out these things and then also getting to throwing to them.
What do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, recently covered that Odell Beckham introduction, wrote a nice story on that. The schedule release. So we got all the coverage on that, how it went down, breaking it down, every matchup. And now, I'll be writing about this Tua deal today. And I still got a lot of rookie minicamp interviews. I'll eventually write about Byron Matos and, anything else that I could still pluck from that. And then we go into OTAs next week. So plenty going on.
All right, good stuff as always. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Reach out to our friends at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. We got hurricane season right here now, right around the corner. So you want to make sure you have their number because, God forbid, we get hit by a storm or water storm or whatever. It could happen. You guys know water damage can happen at any time. Before you call the insurance companies, in fact, don't call them at all. You call Welt Rheaume, they send over their own adjusters, and they call the insurance company, and they take over on your behalf, so that way you're properly defended. 954-966-4646. David, have a great weekend, my brother.
Yes, sir. You too, Big O.
You got it. All right, hour number 2 is next. The one and only Manny Navarro and our Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report.
This is the Big O Show.